Now, Harry is going to do a nice presentation now until lunch, or maybe just over lunch. And I've known Harry for years. We went through officers training in the same IoT 216. And when I was doing these slides, I was like, I must have a picture of Harry during training. I must have a picture of him. I spent a good half an hour looking for this picture. And I'm sorry, it's the only picture I have of you. You like boys, apparently. So, a big round of applause for Head Avenger Harry. You look so young. I
know, and I'm a bit thinner as well. Okay, hi everyone. I'm Harry. I'll do a bit of an introduction before him. But is there anyone in the room who is either a psychiatrist, psychologist, or done a psychology degree? Good, because this is going to be a very basic overview of some of that. So I didn't want to, fall into a bit of a problem there. Actually, I was going to hit a stopwatch as well. 30 minutes, bloody hell. Every time I've done this, it's been over an hour. So we'll see how we squeeze in. So I'm going to talk to you about how to survive this crypto bear market. Now, it's not really about that, because when I first did the title, which is a bit of a mouthful, it's more about how to just remain focused during this current bear market without getting bored, leaving, or blowing your account. And that's kind of what we're going to focus on. So who am I, and why can I speak about a crypto bear market? Okay, Siam stole a bit of my thunder there, but I've been in crypto since 2017. I joined around about December 2017, so the height of the previous bull market. And like most people, I just started hearing taxi drivers, hairdressers, everything else talking about crypto. I'd never heard of it. So I reached out to the only person I knew in the finance world, which was Siam. He sent me a Facebook link, and unfortunately, the rest was history. So my experience within crypto has also been within RT. So coming December, I'll have been in RT for 5 years. As Sam said, I'm one of the Avengers or the mentors. I do a live session every Tuesday night. Should tune in and watch it, or at least watch it on playback. They're generally pretty good. As Sam said, I've known 17 years. 17 years. I don't know how old you are, Sam, but you were pretty young back then. So I've known him for a while, and we've kind of always stayed in touch. We kind of left the Air Force around about the same time. I just sort of stayed in touch for our professional career. But in terms of bear markets, I'm classing this as my third bear market. Now, some of you may disagree and say that we've not had three since 2018, but I'd argue we had the 2018 bear market. 2019 to 2020, we would fall from 14,000 down back to 3,000. It lasted about a year and a bit, so I'm classing that as a bear market. And we're going through another one at the moment. So I've experienced them. I've got a wide range of crypto exposure. I've done mining. I've seen Josh around here somewhere. Bought a mining rig or two off Josh, used that during the bear market. A good way to make some passive income. I'm sure we'll talk about that over lunch. I've dabbled in NFTs, the metaverse, GameFi, just trading, losing money, making money, all of that kind of stuff. So I've exposed myself to a lot. I've got a lot of experience and made a lot of errors. And I'm always just trying to reevaluate how I go about doing stuff, how I can better myself. And I've come up with sort of a way that I think, well, that I used in the previous bear markets to try and make better decisions going forward for the bull markets, because we're all here for the good times, not the bad. But unfortunately, you have to have both. Something like this over the last couple of weeks will either strike fear into you or a bit of excitement. We've had some crazy breaking news over the last 2 weeks with FTX. But we're in a bear market, guys. And that sounds silly to say, because I think we all know that. But as I'm going to go talk about it a bit later on, it does take a time for us to actually adapt to realizing that we've gone from a bull market to a bear market. So for any of you that aren't aware, lived under a rock for the last 6 months, that's it, we're in a bear market. And we've been in it for 12 months, minimum. And I say that minimum. Most people will say that the bear market started November 2021. But there's plenty of evidence that actually suggests it might have started back in May. And does anyone in the room know sort of like the standard definition within the traditional markets of how a bear market starts? No? Oh, someone at the back there. That's it. So a bear market is when a market experiences prolonged price declines. Typically describes a condition in which securities prices, or cryptos for us, falls 20% or more from recent highs amid widespread pessimism, negative investor sentiment. There's hundreds of definitions out there, but that's just the one I picked up off Investopedia. Let's see if this laser works. So you can't see, but I'll just stand and point, good old fashioned. So this here is what I'm talking about at the moment. So that was the run up for April and May 2021. Price got to about 64,000. Now you can actually see there that the fall from May down to over the summer was a 47% drop. What people are arguing is that run up we then had over the summer was actually the start of a bear market rally that actually just caught a bit too much momentum, and we peaked a little bit higher. And people are suggesting that the bear market started back then. A lot of other indicators on the higher time frames, whether it be the RSI, the MACD, or whatever, were all suggesting that we reached the peak in April. But because of that relief rally and that excitement that we got there, we were fooled into thinking that it had gone longer. Whether or not it did, it doesn't really matter. It's all history now, and that's where we got to. But in terms of our mindsets and trying to readjust to that, it then has sort of duped us into thinking, relief rally, we're going further, we're going higher. So when we start falling the other side, it takes longer for us to adapt and get into the mindset that the bear market is settling in. So I know there's some people in the room that aren't with RT or not even with crypto. So very quickly, and I am speaking fast because I'm trying to squeeze this into a 30-minute talk so everyone can get some lunch. How did we get here? So down at the bottom, you can see there, that's sort of the COVID dip, up to the height into November. And we've seen that 2020, 2021 bull market, we went from $3,800 to $69,000. 17x increase, what's that? 1,700% increase, and it took us around about 20 months. How did we get there? Well, I would argue one of them was the entire world going on the largest, let's just print as much money as we can ever, give it out to the people, give it out to companies, but also lock them up at the same time. What are they going to spend it on? Well, stock markets, shares, commodities, and crypto. And so we saw Bitcoin fly up, as I said, by about 1,700%. But that's just BTC. For those of you that are in altcoins, we've seen them, dwarf that number. You look at Doge, I think that was in the millions of percent. It's a huge opportunity within that bull market. Everyone got excited about it. The money flew in. I want to say the money flew in. Look at the total market cap. So back in March 2020, the total market cap was 100 billion. The total market cap of every single crypto was 100 billion. Ethereum itself is worth more than that now. And it got all the way up to just over 3 trillion. So, yeah, 2,700% increase. And this was it. Market top, 10th of November 2021, 69,000. That's not me rounding it up. I've zoomed in as much as I possibly can. If you look at the figures there, 68,999.99. Next up, that is exactly where it went to. I'm not saying it was planned there, but incredible that it just got to that nice round figure for us all to remember. But since then, it's fallen. I had to write this a few times this week, to down to 15,600, a correction of 77%. Don't know why they've not loaded up. I thought there was a couple of charts there. But 2018 bear market, 2014 bear market, we're in the mid-80s. So if you're one of those fractal people, we're going to talk fractals later, potentially there's still maybe another 6,000, 7,000 to fall. Can we see that 8,000 figure of BTC? Who knows? But if you go by that, potentially this bear market fall hasn't finished. But how did the bear market come about? What were some of the leading factors? So obviously, just that overindulgence, overexcitement within the market, that people are just going to get tired of buying. There's going to be that correction. Corrections happen naturally. It's completely understandable. But actually, this year, we've had a hell of a lot of news events that, unfortunately, when you are in a bear market, negative news can just spiral into causing significant crashes, low confidence within the market, and it's just like a self-fulfilling prophecy. These keep on coming at regular intervals, just keep on driving the price down. Now, for any of you guys in RT that have been in for around about a year, you'll know our love and interest within DAOs. Yeah, there were a fair few of them, but for me, the first one, the rise and fall of the DAOs. So back in 2018, you ask anyone that was in that market, 2017 bull run, ICOs were everything. They were always flying around, and generally people associate the pop of the bubble for that bull run being related to ICOs. I think when we look back on the 2022 2021, 2022 market will probably suggest that DAOs was one of the biggest contributors. I'd also say leveraging tokens would probably be there as well, which is also another problem that we've had with DAOs. But Wonderland, Abracadabra, and Sifu. So the undoxing of Sifu, finding out that he was actually a criminal beforehand, and also what he had done with the funds that he was using within the Wonderland and Abracadabra network, caused a bit of a sentimental shift in DAOs overall, but certainly within Wonderland. And except for Ohm, Wonderland was probably the biggest one out there. That started to collapse, loss of faith in all of the other ones. And whilst they were still pushing out DAOs, most of them didn't last more than a couple of months. Then we had, for me, what really kick-started everything off, which was the UST depegging and effectively the collapse of the Luna and Terra network. Now, for those of you that aren't particularly aware, UST is a stable coin, but it's not a stable coin like Tether or BUSD, etc. This is an algorithmic one. And effectively, what had happened was because it lost its peg, they kept on printing extra, well, the price, not the price, I'll spit it out. The amount of Luna was inflating to try and regain the peg. And we're talking like billions and billions of Luna, which just kept on being created. Obviously, that was unsustainable. The price of Luna was just crashing. It never regained its peg UST, and it caused that huge crash. And for me, this is like one of those dates that I didn't even have to look back. I knew it was the 8th of May. And we'll have a look at what happened on that day in a second. Then we had a pretty tough time in June. And for those of you that do study the charts, you'll probably know that prior to what's happened over the last couple of weeks, the local loan of about 17,000 on BTC was done in June. And I would argue that it's because of these three events. So we had Three Arrows, Capital, we had Celsius, and we had Voyager. Within that June period, all of them ended up filing for bankruptcy. All of them had problems. Most of those problems can all relate back to their overexposure within Luna, within UST, Anchor Protocol, taking that 20%. But unfortunately, it was like dominoes, and that just ended up causing that crash there. So we had the May dump, which lasted a couple of days. Market naturally recovered. We had that relief bounce. More bad news piled in, and obviously, the market fell down. I'm going to try and get this laser to, I don't think you can see it on there. Well, I can't see it, but, oh yeah, there I can, thank you. So we had the market top over here. Sorry if you can't see that, but that is the 10th of November last year. I put 2022 because I didn't bother checking these slides, obviously. Then we've had the Luna collapse. So that's over in May. And just note that 37% the market dropped there. We had that little ranging period, another collapse again, 45% price drop. Significant ranging over the summer. And then we haven't talked about it yet, but FTX collapse. At the moment, it's only at 27%, but if you were to read the news, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to crypto this year. But actually, the market's not necessarily reflecting that. Granted, I don't think this saga is over, and of course, I think a lot of us in the room assume that the price is going to fall further. The other things that contributed to the fall in cryptos, the rise of the US dollar throughout 2022. It has been on a run. Appreciate the last few weeks. We're seeing a correction, and maybe actually that run is over. But all of 2022, it's been on a parabolic run. And then the fall of the traditional markets, which we know are in line with crypto. Just to try, this is a confusing chart, apologies here. So it's the Bitcoin chart underneath again, that's the red and the green. And then the blue is the US dollar, and I just used the S&P 500. But you can just see where it is. And obviously a strong dollar typically means weaker commodities, stocks, and crypto, and that's pretty well reflected there. The nope, that's not interesting. The interesting bit's here at the end. So if you can see, S&P 500 has skyrocketed up a couple of days ago off the back of some CPI data. And I thought that BTC was going to do the same, but that was pretty much the time that FTX news came out. So it was the one time that we've actually seen BTC and the rest of the markets depeg. I'm not saying that that's it. We'll never see that correlation again, but had FTX news not have come out, I think we probably would have seen a decent increase in BTC and the rest of the crypto market. So lucky for us who are sat on the sideline, which we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, just interesting how news can drive that sort of stuff. And we're going to talk about FUD in a moment. Okay, and let's not forget about FTX. I'm not going to spend another 2 hours talking about this. If you are interested, and trust me, the picture has changed since then, but there was an Avenger call I did on Tuesday night. I sort of did about 50 minutes, an hour, going through blow by blow of where we are with that. But for those of you that are new here or haven't looked at that, shame on you for not watching it. But effectively, SBF, Sam Bankman-Ford, as he's now known, set up both FTX and Alameda Research. He then stepped away from Alameda Research, but that relationship was still pretty close. I don't think anyone was hiding that relationship, but generally the public just head in the sand, didn't really appreciate the relationship between the two. We don't know who yet, but there was a leak at the beginning of this month to a place called CoinDesk, which showed the balance sheet of Alameda Research. And whilst they were trying to claim they had $14 billion worth of assets and $8 billion worth of liabilities, the vast majority of those assets were effectively worthless, gifted to them by FTX. So that started to question the relationship between the two in a more public manner. Then Binance, who held quite a decent amount of the FTT token, decided they want to de-risk themselves. They decided they were going to sell it. And without going through that whole discussion, they effectively dumped it, driving the price of FTT down, seen as the amount of FTT that was held on the books by Alameda Research. Significant concerns were had. And long story short, despite his claims that they were safe, they were solvent, they had cash, etc., they filed for bankruptcy. And FTX Group is 134 companies. What's the most striking and scary thing about this is the bankruptcy affidavit that came out a couple of days ago showed that despite owning a $36 billion company, this guy didn't have an accountant. So, I mean, writing's on the wall there, but we've got more of this to fall out. I don't really know where the end of it is. It's a pretty nervous time for a lot of companies out there. But what we have seen since that is a rush of exchange, a concern about exchanges, a rush of people pulling their funds off exchanges. If you haven't done it already and you do have those concerns, please do it as quick as you can, because like what Siam said, apart from Binance, maybe Kraken, I'm not trying to suggest you leave anything on any of them. You know, a lot of these ones are pretty nervous. Everyone's scrambling to try and prove that they have their funds, that they haven't been messing around with customer funds. But FUD is driving a lot of concern at the moment. So yeah, please move it off if you don't necessarily need it to be on there. Should be best practice anyway. Yeah, so I think we've got more to fall and more to come out from that. But you guys in the room, and for those of you that aren't in the room but in RT, you're still here. Despite everything that we've had, you're still here. You're still wanting to learn, wanting to understand. And I am going to get on to how to survive this bear market in a moment. But the fact that you're here right now is a huge step towards that. Presence, as you're going to see, will really pay off. Despite, you know, you can reduce your level of engagement, but the fact that you're still here, we are all going to make it, I promise you. But that doesn't mean that it's not a confusing time for us all. And I do think dealing with a bear market, especially immediately after coming off the bull market, it can be like going boxing. I don't know if any of you have ever tried sparring or getting in a proper fight, but you ever get punched in the face, you know about it. And yeah, seeing stars, confusing, legs are wobbling. These are kind of all the feelings I was having looking at my portfolio a few times back in sort of January and February. And so, you know, where is your head at? What is your mindset? How are you feeling? Are you trying to understand your loss, the grief? Some people might be excited around about this stage and trying to understand why they are excited, but there is opportunity in bear markets to have. So it's not a problem to have those conflicting feelings. Nervous, I think rightly so. A lot of FUD's driving the market at the moment, and that's causing nervousness, especially if you don't know how to debunk or how to sort of review and understand whether or not that information you're being told is genuine or not. And then you just get conflicting information, driving that confusion. You also may get entrenched in an opinion which leads to overconfidence. So you've got to try and fight all of these feelings whilst at the same time trying to decide if this is the right thing for you. We've seen, most of you should have seen this chart. If you've been through a bear market, you've seen this chart. This is effectively the psychology of a market cycle. But what I've done is this is the exact same chart, but I've overlaid it over the previous known bull market and bear markets. This is 2018, the run up through 2017, the blow off top, then the correction through 2018, 2019. And it starts off down here, disbelief. It's disbelief because we're coming out of a previous bear market. All hope is lost. We just don't really believe that any uptick in the price is going to be sustainable, and so we just think it's going to fail. Then we move to hope, because actually we got past the level that we thought it was. Guys, has the momentum shifted? I'm not sure yet, but maybe it's recoverable, maybe it's possible. You start to feel that there's a change in sentiment. Optimism. Actually, guys, this rally hasn't stopped yet. We're still climbing, we're still going, and this was probably summer 2017, coming into sort of autumn time here. And the real start to belief is coming back into it. You're getting a few newbies coming back into the market because they're building on the hype. Then the belief is there, and you know in yourself, actually, I'm underexposed here. I need to put more in. The market is moving, and if I don't act fast and remortgage your house, not telling you to do that, remortgage your house, put it all back in, then I'm going to miss this. And so you do. You believe that it's there. The news is coming out as confident. In your head, you think that this is the right decision. You think you've applied logic to that, and you want to proceed. Then it's the thrill, and this is the scary part, but we're all human. It's an amazing feeling as well. Wow, I can't believe how fast this is moving up. You've put in what you thought was a sensible amount, but the amount of zeros you're starting to see on your portfolio is just something else. And you've gone from checking your portfolio once a week, once a day, to every hour. But every hour you're seeing an even better picture. And then, we get to euphoria at the top. And that is it. You're just walking, swanning around. You've gone and bought yourself your pinstripe suit, your penguin tees, and you are the Don. Just picking up veg off a fruit guy, just walking away without paying for it. This was the best thing you've ever done, and you are going to be going down in a hero. You're already planning the statue in the city centre. And obviously, we've all felt, I felt that in 2021. I'm not immune to it. But that's kind of the indicator that maybe we're at the highest point here. And someone said to me when I joined in 2017, that if you're in a taxi and your taxi driver's talking about how much they've made in Bitcoin, it's time to get out. And it's funny enough that in 2021, my taxi driver, Uber driver, was telling me about Bitcoin. He had no idea I'd been in it. He's giving me a great story about Bitcoin. It was kind of a warning sign that I didn't really take, but it still seemed to work there. So now we get to the other side of that. And what time is it? 10 minutes, okay. So it starts to fall off. And this is where I talk about the market cycle of us not understanding where we are and when the shift has changed from bull to bear market. Because we've climbed up so high, that's been such a straight line, everybody there is saying, guys, don't worry, naturally it's healthy for a pullback. Pull back to that support and resistance level, and then we'll kick back off it. Brilliant thing. So we don't care necessarily about that first drop off. Then we see the rally come back up, and it's the complacency. This is it, guys. Told you, we hit support. This is healthy. We're going higher. And if I take you back to that chart where I said, did the bull market end in April, and was November a blow-off top? That's what I'm talking about, this complacency here. It climbed back up. It was 64,000 versus 69,000. They were both wicks on the weekly. So, the weekly closes were both lower than that. So maybe it did just blow off a little bit too high. But you get back in, it suckers people back in, and then the market turns, and suddenly it drops, and it drops past that previous support, and you start to get that concern. What am I doing? It talks about, am I getting margin call? That's whether or not you are looking to leverage trade. I'm just talking about spot purchases at the moment. But you do get that nervousness that actually maybe I've missed it. Have I made the right decision? Why does the market keep on falling? It keeps going. That denial now suddenly, it's all right, guys, because we do get those pumps. We're going to make it. It's going to turn around. Elon or whoever is going to save us, we'll be fine. Then the panic sets in. Uh-oh, everyone's selling. I've missed the boat here. It was 69,000. We're now sitting at 20,000. What a waste that I've gone and done it. Take down the statue, return the suit. We're not there. And then that's when everyone thinks we're at the lowest, but actually there's not enough fear in the market there. It's capitulation that we're looking for. And that capitulation is that final, well, it's not a final drop down in my opinion. It's that last one where there's a sharp reduction, really wiping out any confidence that's there. And then typically we range. And there's anger. And I think most people think capitulation's the end. But actually anger, if you go back to that previous chart, it does come after capitulation. And there's usually that one further drop, and that's where everybody is angry. Like some people expect the capitulation, but the anger is, that's it, suddenly, I hate the market, I hate Bitcoin, I hate crypto, I hate anybody, I hate Siam for introducing it to me, all that kind of stuff. Matter of fact, the more hate Siam gets, the more confident I am that we're at market bottom. So, so then we get there, we range, and Look, that's the best time. That's your market indicator. We should have a trolls on Twitter for Siam as a market indicator, right? And then we know when to buy. Now, we are kind of at that capitulation anger stage. So, maybe we're about there. So we should be gearing up for some sort of opportunity to get in. And then the market repeats itself. Okay, this is where the psychology bit comes in. And I do apologize for this. I was taught this like 20 years ago when we were in the Air Force. Things may have moved on from this, but I think it's Kubler-Ross. It was in the 60s. So I'm sure it has moved on from this. It's not 5 stages, but you can all relate to it. But that transition from a bull market to a bear market is a loss. You are getting over something. You're grieving your portfolio because it ain't where it used to be. You're grieving the fact that we've moved over from that positive mentality to that negative mentality. And these things are all real. We all go through that. I've just got myself a brand new iPhone 14. Within 2 days, I dropped it and smashed the screen. I can assure you, the second I dropped that, there was denial that I did it. Then there was anger. I'm still sad about it, to be honest. Bargaining, yeah, okay. I started to accept where I was getting to it. I accepted it when it finally got the screen changed. But I laugh and joke, but effectively, that we all go through those stages, and the aim is to get to acceptance. And this makes it look like a very linear process. But we all know it's more like that. Like, yes, we want to get to acceptance, but it doesn't mean that we have to go denial, anger, depression, and bargaining, especially when we're dealing with something as complex as finances, as crypto, because we might be starting to slowly recover from one element, but there's another part of your portfolio which has then just gone pop, and you're right back to denial again. And so it is difficult, but this is what we need to focus on initially, is getting the head right, getting ourselves back into that position where we can then take advantage of the bear market. Because you ask anyone, you try and make decisions when you're still in anger or depression, chances are they're not going to be the right decisions, and we'll try and explain that a little bit later on. But you need to be doing some hard truths. You need to actually do some assessment yourself. So the hard truth is accepting we're in the bear market. Getting past that denial phase is obviously the first step towards it. But the quicker you can do that, or the quicker you can understand why it took you so long, the next time you're into it, the better you're going to be. Things are going to get worse before they get better. If you're lucky, that's a true statement. If your denial period lasts so long that you actually don't realize you're in a bear market till the market bottom, then that doesn't apply. But you've lost so much, you're probably worrying about it. So things will get worse before they get better. That's fine. But if we can accept that, we can plan for it. And they won't recover overnight. V reversals are unusual, he says, trying to justify that the 2020 market was a bear market, and that was a V reversal. But generally, we're going to be in this ranging for a while, picking up confidence, and we'll move. That's great because we have got time to work on it. I've not put it on here, but one of the other hard truths, the most hard truth, is mistakes were made by you, okay? You just got to accept it, understand why you made those mistakes, and we'll deliver it. But they will recover. The market will recover. If you don't think that's true, you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be in the crypto market. So if you can get to that stage that things will recover, we can now start to think about what we can do during the rest of this bear market to prepare ourselves for the next bull market. Because hopefully, although we might be here losing money, we're actually here to make money. I appreciate some of you may believe in the tech, which is great, but the reason you put the money into it in the first place is to get some money out. Hopefully. Right, so how, finally, he takes 25 minutes of a 30-minute talk to get to what it was. How can we survive this bear market? Well, there's loads of ways. YouTube it. I'm sure every single person there will give you a different view on it. But I kind of think of it as 5 different things. The first one, protection, is the thing you should do absolutely as quickly as possible. The other 4, I've just put them in that order. They're not an order that you need to do them in. It's just there are 4 other things there. But protection, and we'll go into why, is absolutely the first thing that you need to do. And I'd argue that's probably the only one you should do, whatever mindset you're in. And we'll explain why now. So protection, protect your current capital levels at all costs. So whenever you decide that you're in the bear market and you're giving up on it, the point is, this is a time where you need to think about what your next step is. So let's just salvage what we've got, make some decisions after that, but let's not sit and watch that waste away any further than it needs to. So if that means withdrawing your funds, going to the sideline, whether that be stable coins or moving it into back to fiat in your bank, absolutely fine. But you want to be protecting that. And then throughout the bear market, you want to be protecting your capital levels at all costs. So we'll talk about ways we can do that in a moment. But that should be there, number one. So the dollar value, yeah. So your portfolio, let's go back to October 2021. We were just getting out of home, getting into time. And I used to love, every 8 hours, update my little log, how much my portfolio was now worth. It's pretty exciting, wasn't it? My portfolio value is worlds away from where it was at the end of 2021. I'd say it's at least 50% down. Okay, so that could be quite difficult. But if you need a bit of hope, your BTC value is so much higher. And I'll give you an example. I have to keep round numbers because I'm not that smart. Let's say that we exited on the 31st of March 2022. And at the time, all the crypto we had in our portfolio was 50 grand. Well, the value of BTC on that day, I can assure you, was 44,551, which gave us approximately 1.1 BTC. You fast forward to this week, remember, we're protecting our capital, so we've not done anything. We've still got that 50 grand. BTC is now 16.5. We can own 3.3 BTC, sorry, 3.03 BTC. So if you are a believer in crypto, even getting back in now, you know the market's going to pick it up. So if it is too uncomfortable to think about it in terms of what dollar value you've lost, just try flipping it and think, where is your BTC value? Because we know dollar value in BTC will go up with the next bull run. You are now starting off in a better position. And the point with that is, whenever you now decide to re-engage in the market, everything is at a lower price, but you have kept your capital wherever it was you decided to leave. So you're going to start off with a better block. And you just have to accept that you're never going to hit the top of the market, or unlikely to. And if you want to stay in this for every cycle, this is just a process that you've got to go through. So assuming that you did take the money out, I think you've got 3 options in terms of protecting your capital. You can just quit, and you can walk away and go, you know what, I didn't enjoy those last 2 years. It was highly stressful, the FUD was unbelievable, it's a wild west of unregulated, people trying to hack everything every 2 minutes. I'm going to take this out and put it in gold, or just take it out and go and start a business, whatever. And that's absolutely fine. If it's not for you, then you need to move on. Unfortunately, it can be forced on you. You could have lost so much in that time it takes from bull market to bear market realization that, you know what, your personal circumstances have changed, you're going to have to take the money out. And there's no shame in that. You've got to look after yourself, you've got to look after your family. Crypto market will be here whenever you're ready to come back. So don't stay in it if the circumstances aren't right for you. Again, it's more about protection there. I just cannot keep on doing what I was doing. However, there's 2 other options for those of you that do want to stay in. I'll start with the third one first. Should have done it in the other order. HODL. It is the safest. This is a trade in itself, as we just showed with that example. You've stepped out, and you're just going to hold on to that. You're just going to wait till you find a comfortable bottom, and then you're just going to go back in. And that's fine, absolutely fine. There's the trading side of it. Now, I said, protect your capital at all costs, and then I tell you to go and trade. Well, I'm not telling you to trade, but you can look at protecting your position by trading if you know what you're doing. And we typically in our group use 2 different ways. We derivatives trade, so we use Bybit, GMX, we long and short the market on a short time frame, but you can also look at spot purchases and you can buy and sell that. If you're going to do item 2 or 3, it does require the correct mindset. If you don't think crypto is here for the long term, get out. Take option 1, don't worry about it. But also make sure that you're at that acceptance level. If you're trying to trade when you're in denial or you're in anger, you're not going to make the sensible decisions. How often do we say, if you've lost a trade on Bybit, don't automatically re-enter. Do not revenge trade. Well, if your general overall mindset is just anger, because you're angry at the market, you are just always revenge trading. So yeah, get to that acceptance level of where we are, happy in the mindset. Because otherwise you're just going to be second guessing yourself. You're going to listen to the guy on the table next to you who told you a completely different story about his understanding of TA. You're going to get out and the market's going to do exactly what you thought it was going to do. So if you are going to trade, I've said this before, and I do not get paid to say this, but it's true, have a plan. Have an actual plan if you're going to trade. Remember, portfolio protection at all costs. So I do not recommend trading 100% of your portfolio. Think of the size of your portfolio that you're going to use to trade. Set some rules to it. What is your entry? What is your exit? How much are you risking on each trade? I don't care if it's written down, but just have a general idea of what it is that you're going to do. But this one here is absolutely the must. Take profits, okay? Take profits, because nobody seems to take profits that I talk to in Discord, right? And I'm talking about when you open up a trade, don't wait for it to get to the level you want and then take 100% off. Take scheduled profits on the way. Why do I say that? You are actually trying to train your mindset to get over FOMO. So by taking profits, partial profits in a trade, I promise you, that's going to help you in the next bull run. Because let's just forget all that. You were a hodler. You buy the bottom perfectly for the next bull run. You don't actually make any money until you take money out. Let's say you bought Bitcoin at 3,000. It gets to 30,000. Could go to 60, guys. Could go to 100. I'm not taking anything out. It gets to 60,000. Still not taking anything out. It's going to go to 100. And it doesn't. You've not made any money because you never took it out. Whereas if you can train your mindset to take profits now and get over FOMO, you will take profits during the bull run. And that is, I promise you, the only way you can make money is to actually take profits. I did it with time. Some people thought I was crazy, but when time was at 5,000 and moved to 10,000, every week I took $10,000 out. And that seemed like a really stupid thing to do because it kept on going up and up and up. And that FOMO in me was like, what a stupid idiot I'm doing. But then when it crashed, I suddenly looked like a god because I'd taken some out. But that's just how markets work. You have to take the money out. So that there, protection, take profits. Okay, research. As it said there, I'm not talking about trying to find a new coin here. It's about more like surveillance or spying on your pet projects that you really like. The point is that if there's something that you really believed in, like me, I'm a polka dot moon boy, during the bear market, you need to make sure, because you've not got the hype driving it necessarily anymore, so you want to make sure that they're still working on what they said they're going to work on. Are they developing? Are they taking the product? Are they taking the ecosystem forward? Is it still got an active community? Partnerships being announced? Or is it more a case of they're laying off, there's no activity, there's no news coming out? You know, what is going on there? Because there's no point having a belief that a project's particularly good during the bull market, because everyone is putting out positive news during a bull market. But if they don't do anything for 2 years, and you just YOLO back into it in 2 years' time, competitors may have overtaken them, the team might have completely changed, whatever the situation is. So I'm not saying you need to know the absolute nuts and bolts, but just try, if you are a moon boy of one particular project or several projects, stay involved in understanding what they're doing. And I will give you an example from 2017. That's NEO. If anyone remembers, we were big into NEO in 2017 as a group. Chinese Ethereum killer, done nothing. It didn't even do anything this last bull market. But when it got to 2020 and I got back in, I just bought loads of NEO because, yeah, I loved it. So why not? I didn't know that they totally changed the team. They totally changed the timelines. You know, nothing had happened. And, yeah, it was just a crap project. So I will be checking on Polkadot all the way through this bull market. And if it turns out that Gavin Wood does like to eat small children or something like that, then I'm not going to believe it. If he suddenly leaves the company and it's sort of falling on its feet, I'm no longer a Polkadot moon boy. If Atom or someone else overtakes it in what they're doing, maybe I have to switch. So never be unwilling to reevaluate your beliefs on that. But since we're talking about research, if you have the time, if you have the capacity, and if you have the confidence to do it, there is always an opportunity to find upcoming projects. I guarantee you there's a project out there right now that's level 2,000 on CoinMarketCap. It'll be a top 50 token in the next bull run. We've just got to find it. And I did that. I'd never heard of Polkadot until the last bear market. Well, none of us had because it wasn't around. But I really wanted something to try and understand interoperability because I just thought it was quite restricted. I came across that and I really enjoyed it. Same with Swissborg, which is an exchange. It's an on-ramp. I bought that when it was ridiculously cheap because I really believed in it. It was quick and Barclays allowed me to use it. And that was very successful during the bull run. Not so much now. But yeah, it's just to show that you can find them. But if there is a sector or a target that you're particularly interested in, don't be afraid to research it if you've got the time. Sorry, Siam, I'm trying to get through it. Okay, evaluation. We kind of touched on this a little bit, but now that you've got to that mindset of acceptance, it's all about using this time to make your next journey better. And again, you don't have to do this, but if you want to be successful, then I recommend that you do this. And it doesn't have to be these questions either, but what did you actually achieve in crypto. And it doesn't matter if it was absolutely nothing because you didn't join until November 2021. It's absolutely fine. I joined December 2017. I had to hold a Bitcoin that was, bought at 20 grand for 4 years before I saw that recover again. So that's fine. Just be honest that I haven't achieved anything. Am I still working towards my goals? Well, hopefully so. What are the goals? Is the risk of being in the crypto market still worth those goals? So if my goal is just to make money, can I do that somewhere else safer without the stress? I don't know, you just need to understand that. What could I have done differently? So that's just accepting that mistakes were made. What were those mistakes? What could I have done differently? Well, plenty of them. I have about 12 NFTs, all of them pretty crap. But I just got into them. I didn't pay a lot for any of them, but a lot of them were in the GameFi area, which I thought would be pretty big. So maybe I should have done more research in that. I put about 50 grand in October 2021. So I pretty much bought the top of the market with an additional bit there, thinking it would go up. When was the writing on the wall? So, we all still make mistakes. If you traded, are you actually any good at trading? Can you do it? If you can't, then why not go back to number one and just protect your portfolio at all times and not worry about the guy next to you telling you that he just did 300% on a Bybit trade. If you can't do it, if you can't stomach it, don't feel that you need to. And yeah, if you did trade, will it be different any time? Mindset, so are you in the best place to be making decisions? We go back to, have you got to that level of acceptance? Are you just angry at crypto so you want to get out, but you haven't really thought it through, and then you make a mistake of getting out, you decide you should get back in, but you've missed the bottom. So, just try not to make huge life-affirming decisions until you got that that mindset right. In terms of how stressful it was, how stressful was the bull market for you? If it's anything like me, I was probably up 23 hours a day, checking Twitter, checking everything else in the bull market. Never saw my friends, never saw my wife. It was, pretty stressful time. But how stressful was the bull market for you? How stressful has the bear market been? Is it really worth it in what it's doing for you? And are you willing to go through that again? I don't know. Do you have a plan? Do you even want a plan? Are you just going to just make it up as you go along? It doesn't matter. But if you have a plan, again, I'm not expecting you to write it down. But what is it that you're wanting to achieve for it? We're trying to get that there so we know for the next time we're ready to go. Get yourself ready. What's your portfolio going to look like? I'm not talking about I want this coin, I want that coin, I want that. But what are you going to do? Is it going to be a hodled portfolio? Is it going to be a mixture of the both? We're looking to trade. We're looking to support and resistance. Whatever it is, I am going to get into NFTs. I've seen a Bored Ape that's really cheap now. I think the hype's there. Whatever. What is that going to look like for you? And how are you going to manage it? In the last bull market, I had 96 coins at one stage. 96. I mean, it was ridiculous. And then when we had mad panic, trying to get your Trezor going and different networks, it was absolutely crazy. So where are you going to store these things? Security is a big thing for us. Well, can you do it? I have a Trezor and I'm a DOT maxi. I can't even store a DOT on Trezor. So have I thought about where that's going to go and what that's going to be? If I'm going to put a significant amount of money in something, how am I going to secure it to be? So now's the time to plan for that. Yes, technology might change. Yes, new products might come around. But just having that understanding of where we can go with it. Focus. Bear in mind how to survive this bear market. During the bull market, you were probably just an open platform for any kind of information that was coming your way. And that's fine when things are going good. Your body and your mind can take that. But actually, now that we're in a bear market and the news isn't great, it's pretty dark out there, people are slagging each other off, you're getting trolls all the time, do you need to be exposing yourself to that level of information, that level of focus? And if the answer is no, it's absolutely fine just to squeeze that down. Don't open up Twitter if that's the thing that's just scaring you the most. Don't be, don't be buying into the FUD. And the FUD, as we've seen over the last 2 weeks, can be pretty relentless. A lot of it can be made up and easily disproven, but if you don't know how to do that, you just read the clickbait title, you might be in a bit of trouble. And yeah, it can be contradictory, so you never know which way to go with it. So yeah, streamline your inputs, streamline the source of information that you're getting. I wouldn't ignore it, because if you had slept under the rock for the last 3 weeks and not known about FTX, and your money was on there, you might be in a bit of trouble. So always have some, especially if you're leaving funds here, have some avenue for major news to get to you. But it's not just the news. If you're on the sidelines, you need to be checking your portfolio every 5 minutes. I'd suggest no. And you just try and break those habits. Actually use this downtime to rekindle a relationship with your wife or your husband or whoever you ignored during the bull market. Go and do something completely different. If you want to just still be active and maybe developing, maybe start learning to code. Maybe actually then use that spare time you've got to go into whichever community you massively believe in and become a more active part. Because I tell you what, it's going to be a lot quieter. So your voice might stand out. You might actually be able to take on a bit of a role. I like talking about it. I'd really like to try and get into a podcast of some sort over the next couple of years, because I think I've got opinions that hopefully people like to listen to. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not saying I'll start one myself, but if anyone wanted to invite me on, I wouldn't say no. And then engagement. So this kind of links to focus, but you don't necessarily need to be engaged. But if you want to survive this bear market, you still need to have some level of engagement. So yes, reduce that down and focus on other things in your life, absolutely. But as I said there, the macro picture could change in an instant. FTX is a huge wake-up call for a lot of people that didn't know about it, that aren't still keeping tabs on it. I think we're quite good in our community. We've got the Discord and we've got very active people that like to find information and just push that information out to people. So it's great. We've got the Telegram method of it as well. So you've almost got that instant information. So if you are going to walk away, just make sure there's something there for you. Check your balances every so often. It is still the Wild West out there. If it's not protected by a hardware wallet, you might end up being the cause of a hack or some sort of theft. Check on exchanges. Is your favorite exchange about to go under? Have you left money on there? What's happening with that? Wallets. Do you know where all your money is? Do you know all the passwords? Do you remember how to get on it? If I asked any of you now to buy me some MIM from Trader Joe, do you remember how to do that route? You know, Binance, AVAX, swapping it over. It was a nightmare. We used to do that in our sleep, but we haven't done it for so long, we've forgotten it. So it's similar with using that Trezor for the first time in 9 months. What do I have to do again? So you just keep that going, just remembering. It was a bit, wasn't it? I brought my Trezor with me just in case something happened this weekend. It felt like the time days again of like, come on, where's the news? Yeah, it moves fast, so you do need to keep there. Where is the market sentiment at? Remember, we're in that bear market. If you're not as engaged anymore, are you going to be able to pick up when we suddenly change towards the bull market and we can find that bottom? So I started in 17th of December. Since then, I have had either crypto or stable coins for 1,798 days. I had to work that out. I've never taken everything completely back to the bank. So I've always been engaged. And it can be, this is the last slide, by the way, you'll be happy to hear. It can be pretty dark times. It can be pretty scary. All the people that were huge crypto fanatics, they drop off. I mean, Simon, you look at the membership of RT, always peaks during the bull run. It dies off in the bear markets. For me, that's a great indicator because you get the core people that actually want to stick it through. And the fact that you've turned up today suggests that you're one of those core people. And when no one else is talking about it, so even in RT 2019, generally we moved to Forex. And I just shit at Forex. I just can't do it. I just can't get my head around pound per pips and all that kind of stuff. So I just stuck, me and Habib, pretty much the only people that stuck with crypto. And we didn't have Discord back then. It was just Facebook. So there wasn't really much news going around about it. But I just kept on reading about it. But it provided me with what people call a God entry in 2020. So the COVID crash happened. Prices went down to 3,800. I still missed that. But I bought everything, Bitcoin included, at $5,000. DOT was at 4, I bought ADA at 3 cents, and XRP at 6 cents, and all these other ones. And people are like, wow, God timing, unbelievable that you did that. Well, it wasn't God timing. I sat, I watched, I waited, and I reacted. I didn't react immediately. And that's another lesson is, if you miss 12,000 and that's the bottom and you buy back at 16, trust me, someone's going to still think you were God timing in 3 or 4 years' time. And so, if we get all that right, if you can get your frame of mind right, you protect whatever capital it is, it's going to put you guys in a great position to buy, and then we can have a conversation of how to survive a crypto bull market summer 2024, hopefully. So yeah, just use the time to try and focus on that. I was going to say any questions, but I think save them for the end, and we'll have a Q&A. That's it. Thank you very much.